Welcome back. So already we have discussed the thermochemical conversion methods like gasification, combustion, etc. Now we will have a brief introduction about pyrolysis. This is another
Pyrolysis,
thermochemical method
the
used
word
for
is originated from
biomass
two
to
Greek
energy
words.
conversion. One is pyro, another one is lysis. So pyro means it's fire, and lysis means cutting. So it is actually the decomposition of biomass but with the absence of air or oxygen. So we can say pyrolysis is a thermal decomposition of carbonaceous material by the application of heat and in the absence of oxygen. So the pyrolysis is carried out in the absence of oxygen, and this is the typical reaction. Our biomass or waste will be converted into mainly a combination of char, solid char, which is also known as biochar, and some liquid component will be there, which will be mainly bio oil, and some water vapor, and gaseous products. So all the three states will be present in most of the pyrolysis: solid, liquid, and gas. And it's also the one of the first step in gasification combustion process. So we have already identified in gasification we have different steps in that pyrolysis also is one of the initial step. Similarly combustion also. So pyrolysis happens in even gasification and combustion also as one of its primary step, and it is the only thermochemical process which converts different types of biomass and waste into solid, liquid, and gaseous fuel. So if you take gasification, we will get only gas and solid char. Similarly combustion also, but in pyrolysis we are able to get all the three states, that is solid, liquid, as well as gas. And what is the yield? So that is the most important case in pyrolysis: how much percentage of solid we are getting, how much percentage of liquid we are getting, and how much percentage of gas. So that is the yield of biomass product in pyrolysis. So that depends on mainly the following factors. First one is obviously the temperature. The yield will depends upon a temperature of the reactor. Then another important term is the residence time, or it is a time at which this biomass will be holding, or biomass will be there inside that reactor. So starting from the feeding of the biomass to the removal of products, that time is known as the residence time. So that is a very important factor in pyrolysis. Then the heating rate, what is the rate of heat we are giving to the biomass, that is also a very important factor. And another one is the size of the feed. So all these factors will play an important role in the product yield of pyrolysis. So in this, the first two one is the very most important one, that is the temperature and the residence time. Then according to this temperature and residence time, we can classify pyrolysis into a wide number of categories. For example, so carbonization. So carbonization is a special case of pyrolysis in which we will get only the solid, that is a charcoal only we will get as the product. There will be no oil or gas, and its temperature is around 350 to 500 degrees. Heating rate is very low, and residence time will be some hours to even days. So our biomass will be inside the reactor in this heating rate for some hours to maybe some days. So that is known as carbonization. It is a special case of pyrolysis where we will get only the solid char. Then we have slow pyrolysis just after that, and in that slow pyrolysis also we can have a medium heat rate and a very low heat rate. So that temperature will be around 400 to 600 degree, and low heat rate will be around 450 degree. And if we are using medium heat rate, the slow pyrolysis residence time will be around 5 to 30 minutes. So we will have some 5 to 30 minutes of residence time. And if you are using a low heating rate in slow pyrolysis, we will have some few hours of residence time. And the product is also slightly different. In medium heating rate in slow pyrolysis, we will have mainly solid char and gas, but in low heating we will get liquid also. Then we have fast pyrolysis. Its temperature is a little bit high, around 650, 400 to 650 high heating rate, and obviously its residence time will be less. As we are providing high heating rate, its residence time is less, that is 0.5 to 5 seconds. So it's in the order of seconds. And you can notice that here the main product will be liquid and gas only. So in fast pyrolysis, as the speed or the residence time decreases and temperature increases, we can see it is mostly approaching to a gasification. That is, our product will be independent of the solid component. Mostly it will be liquid and gas. Then we have flash pyrolysis. Then we have another type of pyrolysis, that is flash pyrolysis. It's very residence time is very short, 0.1 to 2 seconds only. Then again we have ultra pyrolysis, very high temperature and heating rate. Again the residence time is less than 1 second. So as the residence time decreases, you can see we require high heating rate and high temperature, and the products will be there will be no solid. And we have some more type of pyrolysis, that is vacuum pyrolysis, hydrolysis, etc., where we will get only the liquids, that is bio oil only we will get in this type of pyrolysis. So this is the overall classification of pyrolysis based on residence time, temperature and heating rate. And if you look at this particular work which compares the percentage yield of products get from pyrolysis with respect to temperature, so you can see mostly as the temperature increases from 425 to around 650, you can see this pink line, this is a biochar. So as the temperature increases, you can see the biochar yield is decreasing. And then we have this green line is the gaseous product in the pyrolysis. So as the temperature increases, you can see the gaseous product will increase. So that is the main conclusion we are getting from this work. That is, as the temperature increases, we will have a declination in the biochar product and we will have an increase in the gaseous product. So if you want more biochar, means you have to conduct it at low temperature with more residence time. And but if you require a more gaseous product, you have to conduct this at a high temperature. And this blue curve is the product yield of bio oil. So bio oil mostly it will increase up to a temperature of around 500 degree. Then after that it will decrease. So for bio oil production, we will prefer a temperature between near to 500 degrees. So this is the conclusion we are getting from this picture. Then what are the application of this product? We have a wide application of product. We will see one by one. The mainly bio oil we can use as a transport fuel after upgradation, and even we can use it to micro turbine and produce electricity also, this bio oil. And engine we can apply directly to the engine if it is after some chemical treatments. And boiler, we can use it as a process heat in boiler, etc. So this bio oil we can use a wide variety of application. And similarly the gas coming from fast pyrolysis can be used in different application also. And if you compare the properties of this bio oil, but it's slightly different from this conventional diesel fuel. For example, if you see the appearance, it will be dark red color. It's not like diesel, it will be in dark red color, or in some case it will be very dark green also. So that is due to the presence of carbon, microcarbon, and due to its chemical composition. And it will have some distinctive odor and a very smoky smell also. That is due to the presence of some aldehydes, lower molecular weight aldehydes and acids will be present in bio oil. So bio oil will be a mixture of a number of organic compounds like aldehyde, acid, etc., and its density will be very high. That is another drawback of this bio oil. Its density, we know our diesel, we have a density around 850 gram per centimeter cube, or 0.85, or around that range, 0.875, etc. But this will be denser than water. It will be mostly 1.2 kilogram per liter, and this is also due to the high moisture and heavy molecular contamination. Another property that is not suitable for engine application is viscosity. Viscosity will be varying. It will be varying from different biomass. Normally it will be very low in some case, but in some case it will be very high also. That is due to the wide range of feedstock and water content. And another problem is its heating value, its calorific value will be very low. That is due to the presence of high oxygen content. So if you have more oxygen in the biomass, its bio oil will have a less heating value. And this is the values. If you compare typical values of bio oil and conventional diesel, you can see if you take the water percentage in bio oil, it will be around 15 to 30%. But diesel, it will be very small, 0.05%, that much negligible. And this is due to the high moisture content in the feedstock, and storage of biomass also absorbs some water in the atmosphere. So that is why its bio oil produced from pyrolysis will have high water content. And another thing we have already discussed, it will have high oxygen content also. Your bio oil will have some 35 to 40% oxygen content, but diesel will not have that much no oxygen content. So that is why its energy density will be lower. So energy density, that is what is energy produced per unit mass or unit volume of bio oil, will be always lesser than that of diesel. And it will have some pH value also, that is linear, due to the presence of acids like carboxylic acid, acetic acid, etc. Its pH will be 2.5, around that is in the acid range. Then viscosity, that is the main problem. It will be very high in centipoise. The viscosity will be between 40 to 100. So that is very high, and it will be difficult for fuel injection and combustion, etc. But if you compare with diesel, it will be a centipoise around 4 centipoise at 50 degree. So that means our bio oil is almost 10 times or more viscous than our conventional diesel. And all due to this, all the reasons, heating value also will be very less. If you compare diesel, we have around 45,000 megajoule per kilogram of heating value, but in this bio oil it will be around 16 to 19 only. That is mainly due to this oxygen content. We have 35 to 40% oxygen content in bio oil, and we will have a slight ash also. In diesel there will be no ash, but in our bio oil there will be some case it will have presence of ash also, which will create some corrosion problems to the engine parts. So therefore this bio oil we cannot be directly used in engines, but instead we can use it as for process heat, for external heating applications, boiler, etc. We can use this bio oil, and it's not suitable for direct engine application. If you want direct engine application, you have to upgrade this oil with some chemical reactions. Then we have another solid char also coming as the product of pyrolysis, and it have this application. Even our solid char we can use as a solid fuel in some combustion devices, cooking, etc. We can use our solid char. And it's another important invention was we can use this for fertilizers. That is the carbon. If you apply biochar into soil, the plants will have more carbon dioxide absorption capacity. It's a study based on Heyman and proved that if you apply this biochar in the soil, and the roots of that plant will be different compared to a normal soil, and it will have more carbon dioxide absorption capability, so it can apply this biochar as a soil conditioner or as a fertilizer. Then another thing, we can use it for the production of activated carbon. So activated carbon is widely used in filtering and other as an adsorbent, also gas cleaning applications. So we can convert this biochar into activated carbon, or we can directly use in some application, we can directly use the biochar for as an adsorbent also. And this we can produce activated carbon. The main advantage of activated carbon is surface area. It will be around 500 to 2500 meters square per gram. So that much high surface area is possible due to its high porosity and other properties. So that is the important property of activated carbon, which we are able to use it for filtering and adsorption applications. So that can be produced from biochar by two process. One is by the reaction with oxidizing agents like steam or carbon dioxide. So we can apply steam or carbon dioxide, etc. in a high temperature reactions like 800 to 1000 degree. That is the temperature we require, and we can convert this biochar into activated carbon. So that is one method, treating it with oxidizing agents like steam or carbon dioxide in high temperature. Then another way is chemically impregnating with a chemical agent like different strong acid and base we can use, and in that case the temperature is not that much high. It will be around 450 to 700 degrees Celsius, and mainly we are using phosphoric acid, zinc chloride, potassium hydroxide, etc. So these are some chemicals, both acid and base we can use. Strong acid and base which is used for impregnating this activated biochar and to convert it into activated carbon. So that is, these are the two methods available, and mostly first method is preferable, even though the chemical method, second method, produce high surface area, but it is having some drawback. That is, the chemicals like zinc chloride are very toxic reactants, and after this reaction we require intense washing. So these are some limitation of the second method. So even though the second method produce more surface area per unit mass, it is having some disadvantage also. That is, one is we are using highly toxic compounds like zinc chloride for this purpose, and after this we have to use some intense washing also. So that is the limitation of the second method. So first method we can is mostly is suitable. But only thing is its surface area produced by this method is not that much high. So this is the application of biochar. So we have seen the application of oil, we have seen the application of biochar, and finally we have some gaseous products also coming from pyrolysis. It will be a combination of like gasification. It will be a combination of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane and hydrogen. But its calorific value will be not that much high. It will be around some 6.4 to 9.8 megajoule per kilogram. So the gas coming from pyrolysis will not have that much calorific value or heating value, and mainly we can use it as process for providing process heat. For pyrolysis itself, So that is the important application of this gas coming from pyrolysis. We already know that for carrying out pyrolysis we require a heat input. That is to reach that high temperature we require some external heat supply, electric heating or some gas other gas like LPG or CNG may be required. But if you are getting enough gas from pyrolysis, we can use that gas itself for giving the process heat for pyrolysis. So that is an important application of this gaseous product coming from pyrolysis. So it will provide the necessary heat input for pyrolysis itself. Or we can separate this carbon monoxide and hydrogen through proper methods. That is, if you remove carbon dioxide and other unwanted gas, we can use that for liquid fuel production by Fischer-Tropsch synthesis or suitable methods. We can convert that for liquid fuel. And this hydrogen can also be used for the upgradation of bio-oil. So if you separate hydrogen from this, it can be used the upgradation of bio-oil itself. So these are some applications of the gaseous products coming from pyrolysis. So mostly the pyrolysis, these gaseous products will be used for heating the pyrolysis process itself, because if it is not a large scale plant, we will not get that much gas from pyrolysis. But instead mostly we will be using this bio oil and biochar for different applications. So in the next session we will study the different types of reactors available for pyrolysis and their relative merits and demerits.